We'll never get free, lamb to the slaughter. What you gonna do when there's blood in the water? The price of your greed, your son and your daughter. What you gonna do when there's blood in the water? Look me in my eyes, tell me everything's not fine. Oh, the people ain't happy, and the river has run dry. You thought you could go free, but the system is done for. If you listen real closely, there's a knock at your front door. We'll never get free, lamb to the slaughter. What you gonna do when there's blood in the water? The price of your greed is your son and your daughter. What you gonna do when there's blood in the water? When there's blood in the water. Admit you were toxic. You poisoned me just for another dollar in your pocket. Now I am the violence, I am the sickness. Won't accept your silence, beg me for forgiveness. We'll never get free, lamb to the slaughter. What you gonna do when there's blood in the water? The price of your greed, your son and your daughter. What you gonna do when there's blood in the water? When there's blood in the water.
What is going on, people? This is your one and only Dice Slice That Rice. Back again with another. Why self-love and ego is not the same. Self-love is not egotistical. I'm going to repeat that once and one more time, people. Loving yourself has nothing to do when it comes to basically have to do with the egotistical, being egocentric. You're not being egotistical when it comes to self-love. Sure, there are some aspects of that, but that's not what self-love is. Self-love is more than just being egotistical. And I'm going to explain to everybody because I had this question, because if you guys didn't know, the Umbrella Robster 97, I was on the phone call with him. He asked me, is self-love egotistical? And I'm going to say no. You know, I know some of you guys, probably do not want me to mention him, but that's just the question for today. And there are also other people asking me if it's egotistical to love myself, to um, basically, appreciate myself more than others. And honestly, um, yes and no, and I'll bring to you that part. But people just do not know what self love means in general, and that's why we're going to talk about why self love is practically important for most of us. And by the way, this stream is going to be very short because um, I'm not going to, you know, basically put a lot of stress on myself on how much I'm supposed to do, how much I'm supposed to, gain when it comes to that stream, because in general, sometimes people, we gotta understand that, I'm not the guy that's going to waste my time on streams and sit here and claim that, oh, you know this is how life is. No, it's not. It's not how life is. That's why we gotta understand that this is a really crucial task for us. And as you can see, we got um people, black Porsches here. Hey, what's up, Hustler J? What's up, Jay? What's up, Dr. Sir? What's up, Mr. Masquerade? Black Porsche, ZV8, what's up? I feel like this is going to be a crucial topic for most of us guys because um it's it's genuine. I'm being genuine here, man. And so we're going to talk about what's the difference between self-love and egotistical. Now, before we dive in, I want to say that I apologize for not streaming as much as I should have because, I have things to do. I have so many stuff to do. I mean, there's drama outside of the internet, and I hope you guys can understand that, you know, there are a lot of things that is going on. Uh, and yeah, but yeah, um, now let's just get back to the topic. Why I believe it's not egotistical to love yourself. Now, the reason I do not believe that loving yourself is egotistical is because basically loving yourself or just loving oneself is just basically the act of valuing and caring for oneself, while having an ego refers to having an inflated sense of self-importance. Remember, people, it's to understand, we got to understand that it's important that we must have a healthy balance of both self-love and humility. Loving oneself allows for healthy self-esteem and ability to set boundaries, while having an inflated ego can lead to narcissistic behavior, difficulty in relationships, and with other people. This is what people, you know, practically do not understand. Because loving yourself isn't just egotistical, it's also taking a healthy, you know, balance of um, self reflection, self awareness, practicing self compassion, and um, you have to treat yourself with kindness as you treat others. Because if you do not treat yourself kindness, there is no way in hell you're going to treat others with kindness. And I'm not saying, that I'm correct on this. This is just my opinion. But the fact matter is that we must focus on tasks that are very, very um, pivotal for us, and that can take a lot of strength. Focusing on our weaknesses, reflecting our goals, our values, our um, um, and yeah, it's it's very, very crucial to um keep it as much as important. Oh, hey, Angry Chat. Yeah, I will keep it nonchalant. Yeah, thanks. I'm sorry. I was also sick too, guys. So I hope you guys understand. Um, but you see, my guys, my point here is the fact that it's not um evil to basically love yourself. Um, and basically, just basically, in general, you have to keep yourself aware on what you're doing, basically, because nowadays most of my channel is practically, you know um uh established with prioritizing self improvement. And I just feel like that self improvement isn't just about me. All right, guys, it's about you guys too. And I want you guys you know to make your successful life, to greatest possible challenges. um but here is what I have to say. Here's also other problems that people do not understand. People also want to take heavy risks when it comes to basically sort of like, you know believing that, you know setting boundaries, is enough, but also at the same time, I can treat myself just only by me and with me and yada yada. Now that's egotistical, okay? Because, you know people gotta understand this. We gotta create healthy boundaries. We can't just, create boundaries that are going to reflect our well-being. You know, we gotta protect our well-being, and this is involving saying no when necessary, maintaining a healthy work-life balance. You know, respecting boundaries shows self-love. Also recognizing the needs and boundaries of others demonstrates humility. And I believe that way we can basically show ourselves um, a really, really good gratitude um, towards ourselves. By the way, I don't know if I'm going to record much on the StreamYard, because I kind of find it really overrated. I think StreamYard is not bad. Um, and it's 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 pivotal for me to say this because, you know it's normal to have moments about self doubt or moments, but when ego becomes a thing, when it comes inflated, you know, we gotta practice self awareness, self compassion. That's the only way we can navigate this balance more effectively. And it's 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 highly crucial for us, due to the fact that people, you know, want to use self love, um, just so they can basically claim that, you know, it's basically motivated by using various types of, conditioned, mental constructs. Well, that's not about that at all. You know, remember, guys, if you guys respect yourself, trust me, you guys are going to also respect your future self. Um, so regardless what many people say, right? People can say whatever they want to say. Okay, there are all types of people that can act. Um, and one of the most um is basically is the task that we had to um that we need to solve, so just so we could basically prevent that. And I kind of find that as much as crucial for you guys too. um but yeah, just to let you guys know, ego is also within self-love, but the difference is ego self-love is protective of itself, and it quickly assigns the blame to others or yourself when it hurts, right? So true self-love doesn't allow and doesn't judge at all. So you gotta remember, guys, self-love isn't just about um uh ourselves, okay? And I'm going to pull up a video so we can watch together about why self-love is more important, because I kind of feel like that self-love is just is just highly validated at this point, but also contains a lot of stuff for ourselves too. So let me just begin by saying this, guys. This stream isn't going to be that long, but I'm just going to let everybody know that um, and let's just you know put that, because in the next stream, or probably in the next video, I'm probably going to explain why you need to stop procrastination. You got to stop procrastinating. Um, and you got to understand the difference of between them. And there are some people out there that say, oh, ego isn't a bad thing, it's not a bad thing, but that's up to them. What about ego versus superego or vanity? um I would say this, man. There is a huge difference between vanity and ego. Ego is widely connected to mostly to vanity. However, it has its own appearance when it comes to the status, the ambitions or abilities, and its own perfectionism. And I absolutely love that you're asking me this type of question, because you know it's highly crucial for us to understand that you know it's not just about whether if we're going to basically use these types of aspects, right? um I think they're important in our lives too, right? But at the same time, I just feel like you know ego can you know it's going to affect us as who we are as people, right? And I really do not want that for anybody. So yeah, let's find a video and watch it because I really want to observe with you guys. My connection is fucking insane. So let me just find um, a video, or I could just put Matt Spears' video to it too. Um, I can use his video as an example. Um, but I don't want to get copyrighted, so um, yeah, and it's highly crucial. But yeah, thanks for asking the question. Um, Now the next thing I want to say is reason I believe that ego has more um into its other levels because it could basically cause a bunch of stress levels and stuff. And it's um it's highly identical, I would say, for that when it comes to that. So now let's start by saying this, guys. There's nothing, and I mean nothing wrong when it comes to about believing whether if you guys think ego is a high value thing, but yeah. And there's a really interesting video I think we should watch. Um, so yeah, let's just watch it just for a second, so we can think about this first. And I find this really good video. Um, so the video is titled "Why Your Self-Image Might Be Wrong: Ego, Buddhism, and Freud." You guys probably know Sigmund Freud. I mean, who doesn't? But let's just dive into this video. Um, Let me just present. And let's go dive into this video.
Well, I think the average person who knows maybe a little bit about psychology or a little bit about Buddhism would think that the Buddhist emphasis on or the Buddhist ego is all about getting rid of the ego completely. There's this notion in Buddhist psychology of egolessness or no self. And most people misinterpret that, as Freud actually did. Most people misinterpret it to think that, oh, Buddhism is saying we don't need the ego at all, or we don't need the self at all, like get rid of it and then we're one with everything and that's it. And I think that's wrong. Obviously, we need our egos. A good friend of mine, Robert Thurman, who's a professor of Buddhism at Columbia, professor of religion at Columbia, he had a Mongolian teacher in the 1960s who used to say to him about this topic of egolessness or selflessness, it's not that you're not real. Of course you're real. You know, you have a self, really understand. And what Buddhism is teaching is that belief in your own realness is misguided. We take ourselves more seriously than we need to.
He does have a good point. Yeah, absolutely. Um, he does have a really good point. I think we need our egos. I don't think we need to use it to misinterpret it as doing just so we could be very very selfish or yada yada, all that kind of stuff. But I think the only reason why we need egos, practically because just so we could basically use them to to like, you know, just so we could basically like uh establish our the way of sense. Um Ego can be, driven to external validation, comparison, and need to prove oneself. And sometimes when we're comparing self-love and ego, self-love is just rooted in self-acceptance, self-respect, and a genuine appreciation for one's own worth and uniqueness. So I believe ego can be also like used in both kind of sort of, context in a way where we could basically like use at the same time. I think self-love is more important, but you know ego sometimes is just centered around self-centered and infiltrates self, sense of self, excuse me. And it is too important embracing both strengths and weaknesses, right? I'm not trying to say that embracing, a weakness is a bad thing, right? Um, but I do think that if we brace our weaknesses too much, we can cause a lot of um, validation towards ourselves, and and that way that can destroy us. So let me just proceed this video.
The self is not as fixed as we would like to think. The ego, the ego is born out of fear and isolation. You know, it comes into being when self-consciousness first starts to come, when you're 2 or 3 years old, you know, and you start to realize, oh, there's a person in here, and you're kind of like trying to make sense of everything, who you are, who are those parents there. You know, the ego is a way of organizing oneself, and it comes from the intellect as the mind starts to click in. And for many people, it stays in a kind of immature place where our thinking mind, our intellect is defining for ourselves who we are. And the ego fastens onto all the negativity, or the positive, the affirmation, like, oh, I'm really something, you know. And the ego likes certainty, it likes security, it likes repetition. And so it's always reinforcing its own vision of itself. And that starts to restrict, us, to confine us, to make us think that we know ourselves better than we actually do. So to bring Buddhism into therapy, or to bring Buddhism to a secular audience, it's all about starting to doubt the ego a little bit. Maybe you don't know yourself as much as you think you do. Maybe some of those fixed ideas that have been operating inside of you since you were a little kid, you know, and
All right. Let me just pause this for a second. Yes. Well, that's a really good question, Mr. Masquerade. Well, when I love myself unconditionally, how do I speak myself? Well, as a turn of sense, well, sometimes I can basically like embrace um the strength when it comes to uh cultivating a healthy relationship with oneself. I realize that, you know, I can, let go of my arrogance, let go of my self-centeredness, and lack of empathy towards others, and I just feel like that, um, you know, that can be a lot mature, because like to answer this question to you, because sometimes I kind of feel like that, you know, it is possible when it comes to having a relationship, like having a healthy level of self love while struggling with their ego. Self love is, a journey, right? And I'm still going. I'm going on to practice that, and that involves nurturing a positive relationship with oneself, of developing self-compassion, and embracing one's worth. Um, it is about recognizing, basically, um, embracing one of one's needs and worth, and setting boundaries, and just basically practicing self-care. And I kind of feel like that's like really important too. Um, and yeah, so let me just um, get back to the video that we're just watching.
Conditioning the way you interact with other people, with the world, maybe those are not all so right. Maybe you're not as really real as you think you are, and you could start to let go of some of that a little bit.
Um, yeah, so that's the video, you guys. Why is ego mentioned on the title? To answer for that, Doctor Sir, um, ego is basically mentioned in the title because many people are asking me, requests or just questions in general. Oh, why is egotistical and self love? Are they the same thing? Yada yada. And I'm just going to provide the answer, and the answer is in this video. Um, that is in this stream. It's not a video, but it will be. Um, but yeah, thanks for asking. Can you provide examples of situations or insecurities that may trigger ego driven thoughts or behaviors? Um, that's a really good question. Caramel. um, now here is a thing. There are some examples I would like to acquire when it comes to triggering your ego driven thoughts or behaviors. For example, when an individual is like, when people like compare themselves to others, to their other companions, to anybody, and feel like they need to prove their worth or superiority, their ego can be triggered. This can happen in various areas of life, and such as careers, academics, relationships, or physical appearance itself. Now, physical appearance in general can provide, provide a better sense, because, like, many people claim, oh, physical appearance is not that important. Unfortunately, tell you true, guys, physical appearance is important. It is important. It is important to take care of yourself physically, to have a nice physique, um, and most importantly, to like to realize the fact that we must, have this situation where we could basically um, not, use ego as a as an excuse too, because because even though self-awareness, self-reflection, and commitment to a personal growth can help um, people in general navigating their ego, and of course managing them, sometimes people in general, they can use certain things, basically allowing them to maintain a healthier balance between self-love and humility. um there are also power struggles when it comes to this, such as um situations where power dynamics are at play, um leadership roles or conflicts, ego driven behaviors can emerge, and these type of desires can assert dominance, control, or superiority. and can lead to ego-driven actions that disregard artists' perspectives or needs. So that's the difference between um, being egotistical and being um, very, very unaware of what you're doing. Because I believe that egotistical people um, contain their tendencies. They some people just activate their ego-driven tendencies. Hey, how's it going? Um, Not too bad. Um, it's just going to be a short stream. It's not going to be that special. But I'm just explaining why self-love is not egotistical, and in some shape or form it could be, but in general it's not. But hey, I'm here. Um, and yeah, in general, people, it's important that you know we um we know that sometimes these types of triggers can vary from person to person. In most cases, individuals in general can um, can have their own unique insecurities or situations that activate their ego-driven tendencies. Um, and sometimes developing self-awareness and exploring the underlying reasons behind these triggers um, can help um, individuals better understand and manage their ego-driven thoughts. Um, and sometimes, there are people that can go around seek validation. For instance, there are people like that. And I don't want to say this, for instance, but when it comes to the trauma in general on the platform, especially the people I know, um, there are most people that seek validation and admiration, and that can often seek external validation just so they can boost their self-esteem. They may constantly seek approval, praise, um, or attention as we speak, because they want to basically use that to validate their own self worth. And their sense of self may heavily rely on others' opinions and approval. Sometimes individuals can work towards reducing ego driven tendencies and fostering um, healthy relationships with themselves and others just so they could basically um, use this coping mechanism where they could basically, you know, understand their own tendencies, their own um, personal growth, their own awarenesses, and yeah, so on and so forth. But that's enough for the stream. Like I said, it's going to be short. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and make sure to leave a comment, like, subscribe, and there's going to be um, um, more streams that will probably come soon enough. And yeah, so I hope you guys can enjoy, and that's it. Peace out, guys. Thank you.